Hello everybody, welcome to this weather lesson. Now this is very exciting because we've been looking at weather for the past few weeks. We've looked at lots of different things. We've measured the weather with our windsock and our rain gauge. We've tracked the weather. We looked at high pressure and low pressure. We've looked at tornadoes. We've looked at temperature, negative numbers. We've considered why some countries are hot, some countries are cold. We've learned a lot in just a small space of time. And now for this next lesson, we're going to look at two things. Something called precipitation and humidity. Two big words, precipitation and humidity. But once we understand what those words mean, we're going to be able to present a weather forecast. Just like Judith here in the picture, standing at the front, presenting the weather like you see on the TV and on the news. So very exciting stuff. So hold on tight. Here we go. Now, when you look at a weather forecast, you usually see these symbols. These are from the BBC site. I've grabbed just 6 of them. Looking at them, can you tell what the weather's meant to be behind them? I've got a wee test for you here. You might want to pause the video and see, can you match up the words to the pictures? One of those ones. You can draw arrows just with your finger on them. See, can you match them up? Pause the video, give it a go. Provided you have done that, let's see. Snow. Let's go with the first one. Snow. Down there with the little snowflakes coming out the cloud. White clouds. Nice white clouds up in the sky. Right there, yeah. And the sun. Well, the sun's right there, isn't it? We know, a sunny day. Now, drizzle. That means, if you weren't sure, drizzle means that it's kind of lightly raining a little bit, but not too bad. It's not like proper rain. You don't need a brolly. You could go out in break time and you get a little bit damp. Drizzle down here. It's got the sun poking out behind it to let us know that's not too bad. Rain. I think that's quite an obvious one right there. And a thunderstorm. With that lightning bolt there. Thundery, stormy weather. Okay, there we go. So we've got symbols, and symbols are great. Even as you get older, as adults, we still have symbols all around the place to help us understand things. Now, when you Google the weather, for example, if you Google weather Edinburgh, as I have there, you see it comes up with the weather, but the symbol's very small. It's got lots of different words, doesn't it? We're going to be looking at two words today, precipitation and humidity. Can you spot them on the screen? Precipitation and humidity. Well, let's look at the first one. Precipitation. Precipitation really talks about condensation. And do you remember what condensation is? It's the opposite of evaporation. Condensation is when water vapor in the sky attaches to solids like the dirt, little bits of sand and all that. It attaches to it and forms into clouds, and then eventually raindrops, the water vapor, goes from a gas back to a solid. That's what condensation is doing. And we can see there that at this weather at the moment, precipitation is 20%. Now remember, percent is out of 100. So 20 out of 100 means there's not too many clouds up in the sky. There's not a lot of condensation happening up in the sky. Humidity, though. Humidity talks about the amount of water vapor in the air. So remember, that water vapor is like a gas. Remember when we boiled the pan, we were looking at that water vapor coming up. So it means there's lots of water vapor, 90%, 90 out of 100. That's a lot. Think of it as 9 out of 10. It means there's a lot of water vapor up there in the atmosphere. So we'll get lots of clouds about the place, but there's not too much condensation, so we're not going to see liquids forming like that rain. And so you can see there with the actual weather symbol, we've got kind of grey clouds up there because there's lots and lots of humidity, but not a lot of condensation going on. So we get those clouds. Here's another one. Here. Precipitation is 70% this time. That means there's a lot of condensation. And humidity is 92%, meaning there's lots of water vapor up there in the sky. Humidity 92%, precipitation 70% there. So, because there's lots more condensation going on, there's a greater amount of precipitation, starts to rain, and you can see that there with the wee symbol, got rain, because there's much more liquid up there in the sky. Now, as a general rule then, if precipitation is low and humidity is low, we get nice sunny weather, because there's not condensation going on, and there's not a lot of water vapor in the sky to create clouds. So when precipitation is low and humidity is low, you get sun. If you look at that symbol in the middle though, to form rain we need a lot of precipitation, so 90%, and a lot of humidity too. We need a lot of water vapor up there travelling up into the sky. And then right at the end, for those white fluffy clouds, we'll have a lot of humidity, a lot of water vapor going up, but precipitation's low. There's not much condensation going on. There's not a lot of liquid up there. And we can see as well, just looking at the bottom here, that's a good visualization, if you like, of a percentage there to show you that 100% is a full thing. So I've got a wee task for you. Now, don't worry if you're like, Mr. Richard, this is really tricky. It is really tricky. I'm really challenging you because I've been so impressed with how you've picked up evaporation, condensation, high pressure, low pressure. You've been amazing. You've been so good. So this is tricky. What I have here is a map of Europe, and I've put 4 cities on that map. We've got Dublin, Berlin, Rome, and Lisbon in Portugal. And I've got the weather predictions. We've got precipitation and humidity levels there. What I would like you to do is to draw the weather symbol that matches for precipitation and humidity. So basically draw the weather is what I'm asking you to do. Draw the weather where you see it. Pause the video, give it a go. Have you done that? Have you paused the video and given it a go? Right, okay, let's look then. What did we have? Okay, right, there we go. So let's look at Ireland first. That's over, yeah, that I have to get my fingers right. Over that way, next to the United Kingdom, Ireland. So precipitation was 60%. That means a lot of condensation. And humidity, 89%. Lots of water vapor up in the sky. So that means it's going to rain. That's what the symbol is there, raining. Can we move over to Germany? It's the one there. Oh, there, yeah. That way. Germany, precipitation down at 1%, which means not a lot of condensation happening, not a lot of liquid forming on solids. However, humidity is at 60%, which means there's quite a bit of water vapor in the air. So we've got sun with some clouds. That's what we end up with, sun with some clouds. If we go down the way, right? This is so hard. Right, to Italy, it's right next to me there. Italy, precipitation was 70%, humidity 71%. Just like Ireland, we've got rain. It's coming down. And then if we go all the way over to Portugal, which is next to Spain, precipitation was down at 4%. Humidity was up at 86% though, so kind of similar to Germany in that we end up with sun with probably a bit more cloud than we would in Germany. Hope you got on okay with that. If not, don't worry. Let's see what's coming up next. Now, what I think is a really handy thing to do is to go onto BBC Weather, if you can. If you're on Teams and all that, you've got a device, you can do it. Just Google BBC Weather. You can even Google BBC Weather Scotland. And there's a 1-minute video that shows you the weather, and it shows you people presenting the weather as well. You might also want to watch out for it on the news. There's usually, on the BBC, news is usually at 1 o'clock and at 6 o'clock. And the weather's always at the end, so it's like the last few minutes. So yeah, that would be really good to have a watch at some point this week if you could, to see how the weather is presented. But I'd like you to go on, if you could, and look at a weather forecast too. Because I'm setting you a challenging task. The learning intention is we're learning to interpret precipitation and humidity, those 2 new words we learned. Interpret means to understand. So to understand precipitation and humidity. The task, present the weather. Imagine you are a weather presenter. You're going to present the weather. And this is the weather forecast for Friday in Scotland. So you're going to present the weather for Friday. So what do you need to do to be successful in this activity? Well, you need to predict what the weather will be. There's 5 areas I've highlighted in Scotland. We've got Stornoway, Wick, Aberdeen, Fort William, and Glasgow. And I've given you the precipitation and humidity predictions for those days. So using those precipitation and humidity readings, you've got to draw the weather symbols. So you've got to predict what the weather will be. You've got to create a map with symbols on it. Okay? So you need to draw Scotland. You need to draw the symbols. What is the weather going to be? And then I'd like you to present the weather, just like you are Judith or Corsair or one of the weather presenters on BBC Scotland. Present the weather to someone in your home. Just like you're putting on a wee show. And remember when you're doing that, what we call clap. You need to be clear, a clear voice. No, I want to speak like that. Nobody can understand that. That's how I speak sometimes. You all say, Mr. Minchin, can't understand you. You need to speak clearly. Loud as well. Nobody can hear that. Okay, what a shame. Such fantastic brains you all have. We want to hear what you've got to say. So nice and loud. I like to put an A for acting. Because when you're given the weather, you do act a little bit. We want some expression in there, some eye contact. Things like that. A bit of hand gesture as well, movement. And up here, but the sun's coming out. But if you live in Stornoway, really sorry to say, rain. A little bit of acting. And finally, the last one, P for pace. Pace means fast and slow. If you go really, really quickly, everybody can understand what you said. But if you go really slowly, people will get bored. So we don't want you to speak really, really slowly, but we also don't want you to race through it and speak quickly. So think about your pace. Think about the speed at which you're speaking. Let's quickly recap it. Learning intention is to understand precipitation and humidity. The task, present the weather. To be successful, you need to predict what the weather will be using this map. You need to create a map and draw the weather symbols. And then you need to present it at home using a clear voice, being loud, with some acting, and think about your pace as well. Good luck. I can't wait to see what you come up with here. If you could post it on Teams, that would be great. And this is an activity that might take you a couple of days. So if you're watching this video, think, I have to do all this today, and I've got maths, and I've got spelling. Don't worry. Okay, come back to this activity. This is one that you could do over 2 or 3 days even. Good luck.